Are conservatives actually allowing young, innocent children to starve and suffer because of the government shutdown? No, I don't think that's what's happening at all. This is a note published on Substack by a publication called Defending Feminism. And I wanted to break it down because people like this, people on the left who write commentary like this, they use talking points that are completely divorced from reality, and they've created their entire political ideology that positions themselves as essentially the saviors, right? There is certainly a white savior complex within the Democratic Party. You have groups of people who think they're defending the disabled, the downtrodden, children, people who have been historically underrepresented, racially, gender wise, whatever. Like they position themselves within this like savior complex that they're out helping other people and that they're using government as a means to help. In reality, their facts are completely wrong. And I think there's a group of people who are well intended, well meaning, and want to genuinely help people. But I think that group of people is being manipulated and co opted by another group of people that just wants power and understands that you can manipulate the good doers, the people who want to do good, as a means to your otherwise evil ends. So I want to break this down. So the opening sentence of this is, how does anyone think that the right wing values caring for young children? As we speak, they're massively cutting SNAP benefits, which will disproportionately harm poor mothers. Ironically, it will probably push poor mothers who are often parenting solo to have to pick up some more hours at low pay jobs, thus actually shrinking the amount of time such mothers will have with their children. So the assumption here is that people receiving food stamps are low income mothers who are working and that they are using food stamps to supplement their income. Now, this is certainly the case for some recipients of food stamps, but not all. So I want to introduce you to a TikTok influencer I stumbled across over the summer. Her name is Shaqueva Rutledge. She is a single mom. She's a stay-at-home mom, and she has 9 children. According to a video she posted a while ago, 6 of those children are under the age of 5. Okay, so this is one example of many that has been cropping up on social media over the past few years of welfare queens literally gloating about receiving welfare, being on benefits, and they use their situation in order to guilt other people, particularly women, into giving them things and getting more benefits. So all of this, her content is about that. It's to get people, to guilt people. She in this section, she apparently ended up homeless. I was doing some background reading. It's like the second time she has ended up homeless. Looks like there might have been a fire, so it wasn't really necessarily her fault. Regardless, she ended up homeless because of that. She wants people not to judge her for her decisions, but it can't be lost on anyone. This woman is obviously morbidly obese. She is the mother of 9, 6 of which are under the age of 5. I don't know who the fathers are. That's not disclosed here. Presumably, she has 9 different baby daddies. So she's had children with 9 different men. And she lives off the welfare that the rest of us provide. So she's posting videos about this. She talks about a $1,500 EBT haul that she got. And she has $12,000 in food stamps. And you just look what she's buying. It's all packaged garbage. She buys things like, Lucky Charms and Eggo waffles and, like mini muffins and sodas and everything like conservatives hate about the welfare program, because you're just giving cash payments to people and they're allowed to spend it on whatever they want. This woman is benefiting from. I mean, she has a huge box of chips, right? And all like name brand stuff, stuff that, the average hardworking American wouldn't want to poison their body with, but also probably couldn't afford to pay brand name for because it's so expensive. So she posts stuff like this. She posts her cooking. She doesn't actually cook. It's a lot of, uh, low, like high carb, low quality meals. And this is, she has content about this. Like she has almost a million views on this one. So it says, when Trump says no more snacks on EBT, you go spend 1K at Sam's Club. So um, I don't get the impression that this is like a joke account. I think this woman actually um, does this. Like she says here, she spent what was it, 200 off her WIC card before Trump turned it off. So she's on WIC. She's on food stamps. And so she talks about all of this, all while trying to become like some sort of like influencer. Like she's using her struggle. Like here, she's like, please watch for a minute so I can be able to purchase 9 kids a home. Like she's trying to get her kids a home. Um, there was one I saw where like she wants you to watch so she can take her kids to Disneyland. Like self-care day, single mom of 9 kids, stay at home mother. So like here's the obvious question, okay? Like how is she a stay at home mom? Why does she have 9 children? And how is she racking up so much government like benefits? And obviously like there's your answer. You have women like this who have been raised in a culture that where welfare is their inheritance that is passed down from grandmother and mother to their children. The women, there is no shame in having a plethora of children out of wedlock. These women don't get married. There's no accountability for for the father. There's a problem with absent fathers. I'm totally stereotyping here. I'd love to know how many of the baby daddies are currently in jail, because that is a problem. And so these are the type of people who are getting food stamps and gloating about it. The ones who are actually receiving it, who like genuinely need it, they're not posting on social media. They're ashamed to swipe their card. They want to get off food stamps as quickly as possible. They're not happy to be on it. They don't think it's a lifestyle for them. She has turned welfare and the generosity of taxpayers into a subsidy that makes it so she can strive to become a TikTok influencer. And it's absolutely disgusting because, as anyone knows who has been to the grocery store, like prices are going up. It's a struggle. I mean, I sticker shock yesterday. My husband loves seltzer water, so I get him like the normal HEB brand. It used to be, I think at the start of the year, it was like $3.79 for a box of 12 cans. Then it went up to $3.99. Yesterday was $4.25. Okay. I've posted on Substack before, but I buy, just cheddar cheese at the grocery store like normal people do. Again, HEB was like $4.29 for a pound of cheddar cheese at the beginning of the year. Now it's $4.99. Like those are 2 examples of things I buy on a regular basis that have gone up substantially in price. That is a significant increase. So I have to bear the cost of that. I have to pay taxes so on my income so that this woman can live for free. And this is why conservatives are so offended. They don't value grifters like this who aren't working low pay jobs. They're not working jobs at all, who have no discernment or respect for their bodies. They just pop out children with whoever tells them they look pretty. They don't respect their bodies. This woman is morbidly obese and her children probably are as well. She feeds them garbage. So no, I have absolutely no sympathy for women like this. They need to learn. There needs to be like some carrots and sticks involved, emphasis on the sticks, to get these women into shape, figuratively and literally. Like, we can't keep supporting this. And so long as you keep the money flowing, these women are going to continue behaving like this. The right, people on the right, conservatives, do care for young children. Go to any church in this country. Go to any church in this country. Ask them how many of the kids in that church go hungry on a daily basis. I guarantee you won't find a single one. Churches, not all, I'll give you that, not all, A lot of churches run food pantries, they run community soup kitchens, clothing closets, some run subsidized daycares. Like, I think churches could do more, sure. Like, I'm not saying that they're perfect, but a lot of people who hold conservative values are also engaged in public facing ministry work that does support young children and mothers in need. So to assume that it's only the government who can play this role and that taxpayers must fund it and that all the recipients of SNAP and welfare programs are just innocent mothers who are struggling through poverty is just a complete illusion. Okay, it says the ascendant MAGA wing has increasingly stigmatized work from home policies, and the rightward shift generally has meant industry has followed suit. This proportionally harms mothers and means both parents will spend more time commuting and less quality time with their family. Okay, this assumes that corporations are responding to government and political efforts and initiatives, and that is not true. So I write extensively about AI, automation, what's happening in the labor market right now, the future of work, all that kind of stuff. And I can tell you the reason why companies, not the government, not people on the right, companies are stigmatizing work from home, and they're not just stigmatizing, like they're requiring people to return to the office, is part of a broader effort to allow their workforce to naturally shrink through attrition. They don't want to have to pay out severance and all the benefits that come with involuntary separation. They don't want to fire people. So they are hoping through implementing these policies, they can force attrition and naturally reduce their workforce, because these companies are working towards getting rid of as many human workers as possible and replacing them with automated workflows, including AI. So that's what this is all about. And yeah, of course, like culturally, there is a good reason to stigmatize work from home policies. I personally know people who have abused those policies, who take meetings from places they shouldn't be taking meetings. People who skip out on work, and they'll put, fake meetings on their calendars in order to do personal things. This happens all the time. And I think, I'm a proponent of working from home. I'm doing it right now. Like, I understand and value it. But I can also see where employers are coming from, because unfortunately there are people who abuse it. There are people who are given work from home privileges and they don't work from home. They screw around. They watch Netflix all day. They just continue collecting a paycheck, and they're not getting any work done, and they're not doing what they're hired to do. So I understand it. But this is not coming from the ascendant MAGA wing. This is not politically motivated. This is not like being imposed by the Trump administration or the government. This is like corporations seeing the writing on the wall and trying to get rid of as many human bodies on their payrolls as quickly as possible. Okay, the next section says the right wing is fighting with all its might to remove healthcare subsidies for the millions of Americans who rely on Obamacare. So this is talking about why the government shutdown happened in the first place. So there are two different narratives that have formed around this, and depending on your news source, you have a different opinion. So if you are on the left, you think that the government shutdown is all about big, bad, evil Republicans not wanting to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies that would make healthcare affordable. If you're on the right and have actually read the continuing resolutions and the text of it, this is about the federal government not wanting to provide reimbursements with federal taxpayer dollars to states that offer medical assistance and healthcare services to non-citizens. And that is in the text. I've done a video about this. That is actually what it is written. This is about federal reimbursements for healthcare services provided to non-citizens, so i.e. Illegal migrants. But I do want to talk about the healthcare subsidies for Obamacare, because the implicit assumption here is that the healthcare subsidies are good and beneficial, and they're not. So healthcare costs have gone up substantially since Obamacare was passed. And I'm gonna admit, right? Like, I've been a beneficiary of Obamacare. I've been a beneficiary because I was still under the age of 26 once they changed that, and 26-year-olds were allowed to stay on your parents' health insurance. So that did benefit me in my early 20s. And then I was on an exchange provided healthcare plan for a period of time. So I have benefited from it, but I don't necessarily know that it is a benefit. So overall, like healthcare costs have gone up, and I think part of that is due in part to the subsidies and just the healthcare sector altogether. Like the fact that government funded programs like Medicare, Medicaid, Obamacare, all that kind of stuff, it infuses subsidies into the system. There's no accountability. And so because of the relationship between medical providers and insurance companies and the funding sources, they're able to charge whatever. And you can see this, like go on X, go on TikTok, like just look for yourself, right? They can charge whatever they want, bill whatever they want. Duplicate billing happens frequently. Like if they decide, okay, your surgery costs $1 million, and guess what? That's what they're going to bill your insurance company, and your insurance company can either agree to it or not. So that's like part of this, right? It isn't a private market. And so because we don't have a true private market that's regulated by supply and demand, the government has intervened. We have all these exorbitant prices. So Obamacare didn't solve the problem. It just made it worse. It made it easier for these, the players in the healthcare industry to charge whatever they wanted. I will say, like I said, I have benefited from being on the exchange, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was a benefit. So I ended up getting the cheapest plans I could get just for catastrophic coverage. I wanted coverage in place. If I had to go to the emergency room, like at least I had something, right? Not going to the doctor on a regular basis, not like on medications or anything. With the subsidies, I was paying about $250, I think, per month. I think at one point it got up to $300. So that was with a subsidy, and the subsidy ended up, I think, being like $300 off. So basically, it reduced my monthly rate. So it said, okay, because of the income you have said you make, instead of paying $700 a month, which is what the premium would have been, the lowest priced premium would have been out of pocket, you're only going to pay $250 out of pocket, which is affordable considering how much health insurance currently costs for the vast majority of people in this country. But for someone who doesn't use it on a regular basis, for someone who strives to take care of her body and really truly like looks at the medical system as it currently exists as a place for emergency care, a place like if I need antibiotic for something, or I haven't break a bone or something, or an accident and need to go to the emergency room. That's what I see it for. I do not see the healthcare system as a sick care system. I do not think it's the responsibility of you or anyone else to treat any sort of illnesses I obtain because of poor diet, lack of exercise, lack of stress reduction, all that kind of stuff. Like that's on me. That's my responsibility as a person. That's on me. Unfortunately, the vast majority of people don't agree with my philosophy. And so we have a sick care industry that is burdened by people with chronic conditions that are a result of lifestyle and not acute. They're not there for acute care. Okay. So, if you're spending $200, $250 a month on something you're not using, that's $2,000, $2,500 a year on a service you're not using. But then what adds insult to injury is because the plans I got on the exchange were like the bare minimum, the lowest quality plan available, I still had to pay 100% out of pocket. So I was spending $200, $250 a month for insurance only to have to go to the healthcare provider and pay 100% of the visit out of pocket. So there was no actual benefit to it. Like you're still paying out of pocket, especially up to the deductible. And if you're, someone who doesn't meet the deductible or doesn't intend to, you're going to pay for everything out of pocket. So what are you actually paying for, right? You're not paying for anything. You're not benefiting from it. But what's more problematic about the subsidy that people don't talk about is it's predicated on the assumption of income, right? So it says, okay, it uses your previous year's income, by the way. So it's like, okay, if you made $35,000 in the year prior, assuming you're going to make the constant amount of income for this year as well or comparable, then that's what the subsidy allotment is predicated on. But if you earn more, then what happens is when you go and file your taxes, it will be, the subsidy will be removed. So if I had earned more money that put me into that above that threshold when I had the subsidy, instead of actually paying the $200, $250 a month I was paying out of pocket, they would have retroactively charged me for the full $700. Okay. So it really is kind of a bait and switch, and it incentivizes people not to make money. Because who in their right mind would want to pay $700 a month for something you're not using? Like that's what it really is. So it is it is not a solution. It's becoming a problem. And because of the costs and the low benefits, like a lot of insurers are starting to pull out of the healthcare exchange. So your options are increasingly reduced. You're not left with much. Not as many providers want to take the insurance as provided. So everyone on the left laments like, oh my gosh, that's going to remove healthcare subsidies and leave millions of Americans vulnerable. But what you don't understand is those Americans are already vulnerable because the healthcare system is broken and the subsidies aren't helping it at all. It's making things worse. The only people who are truly benefiting from the current healthcare system are those on Medicare and Medicaid because they're getting everything for free. They don't have to worry about any costs. Everyone else, we have to consider and navigate and worry about the cost. I ended up, when I moved to Texas, I ended up going off the exchange because I couldn't afford it. Like I wasn't willing. I think I say like the rate went up to like $350, $400 a month or whatever. And that was just more than I was willing to pay. So I ended up getting a health share. I used a membership health share and the same kind of thing. It was there for emergency. So I think I had like $1,000 individual contribution I would have to make out of pocket. And then anything else I could submit in and get a reimbursed for. And the benefit with a health share is because you're not going through insurance, you are considered a self-paying patient. So automatically you get the price that self-paying patients would get. And I'll tell you, I did have to get something done while I was on that health share. I didn't meet the $1,000 to get it covered. So I had to pay it out of pocket. But I did call around to different providers to ask what the self-pay out-of-pocket cost would be for someone like me who didn't have insurance. And I'll tell you, one basic 5-minute in and out service, it ranged from $150 to $350. So I'll tell you right off the bat, these costs are arbitrary, and you can shop around. Like you can shop around for lower costs. You don't have to get taken advantage of by the medical establishment, but because a lot of people don't know that you can self-pay, and they don't know that they can shop around. They don't. They just accept whatever bill is handed to them. They don't know that they can negotiate down. And a lot of times, because of the administrative burden of negotiating healthcare bills, a lot of places will give you a really steep discount if you're going to pay out of pocket. Like they would much rather take your money and clear the transaction in their books immediately than have to go back and forth with insurance providers and this and that and doctors and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a cost savings for them. So there are alternatives. People just don't consider them because they're unaware of them. Okay, so then it goes on to say they're obsessed with ending no-fault divorce and rolling back abortion rights. Yeah, absolutely, because no-fault divorce hurts men. Like I don't understand why this seems to be a thing that we should keep defending. Like, imagine, I'll just use like an objective example here. Like, imagine you go into a business, you start a business with a business partner, okay? And you're 3 years into your business. It's finally starting to take off. You've invested all sorts of money into it, and you're starting to get some equity back into it, right? And then all of a sudden, your business partner one day wakes up and is like, nah, I don't really want to do business anymore. I'm just going to move out of state and leave. They're just going to leave, okay? So you're left with this business by yourself. They don't want anything to do with it. But then they take you to court claiming that you did something, you angered them, you violated them, whatever. And then they demand 50% of everything that you have put towards that business. So everything that you built and grew after they left, after they walked out, you now suddenly have to pay your business partner for. That's kind of like how no-fault divorces work. Like women just wake up one morning, they decide they don't want to be married anymore, and then they take the house, they take the kids, and half everything that the man owns. So yeah, we should end no-fault divorce because it's sickening that women don't think that they have a duty or obligation once they enter into a marriage with another person. Like they just think it's like some sort of party and that's it, and there's no like ramifications or requirements or expectations of them afterwards. And so yeah, we should end no-fault divorce, and yeah, we should roll back abortion rights because abortion isn't a right, okay? We like people on the left seem to assume that like everyone should have the freedom to like murder their offspring, and that is just absolutely insane. And objectively, like the reason why I don't think abortion is a right is because you have, like, women have so many options at their disposal today of things they can do to prevent unwanted pregnancies. Okay. Abstinence, a really great thing. Condoms, also really fantastic. There's all sorts of different birth controls you can go on and prevent unwanted pregnancies. If all else fails, there's Plan B, which is an emergency contraceptive. So you can use that immediately if you want to prevent conception from happening. And then the other thing too, which women seem to like not realize that they can control, is your fertility cycle is a cycle. Okay. So there's all these apps you can download. There's all these tools you can use. You can track your period and know when you're ovulating, and you can use any sort of preventative measure, specifically not engaging in sexual intercourse during your peak ovulation period, to mitigate pregnancy. So the fact that there's all of those options on the table, but these women still think abortion is a fundamental right, clearly tells you where their head is at. Abortion is not a right. You have a responsibility to take care of your body. And if you are unwilling to track your cycles, if you are unwilling to engage in discipline and abstinence, if you are unwilling to seek out contraceptive, so being on the pill, IUD, whatever, if you are unwilling to have conversations with you and your partner about protective measures, like, that is on you. Okay, that is your responsibility. Abortion is not a right. And of course, they'll raise concerns. Well, what about incest and abuse and all that kind of stuff? Okay, that's a minority. That's a minority of cases. I'm talking about the women who are getting 2, 3, 4 abortions because they can't seem to close their legs and they just want to be promiscuous hoes. Like, this is what we're talking about here. This is what it's about. So abortion is not right. Abortion is murder. Women have all sorts of different options at their disposal to prevent unwanted pregnancies. They simply choose not to. Okay, it says they've cut funding to so many programs intended to address domestic violence and female healthcare. I would love to see stats on this. I think domestic violence is something that is overstated by the left. That's something they constantly cite as a reason why feminism is good. They always claim, well, back in the 50s, women were just being abused all the time, and because of that, feminism today is good. Women need to have their own money, and they need to be able to do this, and the freedom to leave. Okay, like, again, like, domestic abuse does happen. I would like to see like more concrete data on the actual number of women this affects. Are we talking about 20% of the population? Or are we talking about less than 1% of the population, right? And if it's less than 1% of the population, why is this becoming a big national political issue? Okay. And of course, they say cut funding to female healthcare. I'm a female. I have received female healthcare services in the past couple of years. Like, I have not lost any access to female healthcare whatsoever. And they say cut funding, but that's not true either. And I'll use Planned Parenthood as an example. Like I've said before, like, I had periods of time where I wasn't on insurance, or because of the insurance I had, like, I didn't qualify for a lot of stuff. So I've used Planned Parenthood for routine services. I don't particularly like Planned Parenthood. But one of the things that is helpful is it's a nationwide system. So if you're in a different location, you can use it. You're not really, there's no like in-network aspect to it like there is with other medical providers. And, that's something I've struggled with. I've moved a lot, right? So like having some stability in healthcare is important to me. And so I've used Planned Parenthood for different just routine things. And I will say, like, so Planned Parenthood, okay, you have to think about how they're funded. So Planned Parenthood receives donations, so they solicit donations from their supporters. They do receive benefits from federal subsidies through a number of different programs. Insurance, they do ask you to provide your insurance when you make an appointment. So they are billing insurance companies. And then if you don't have insurance, you're expected to pay as a self-paying patient. Okay. So I, last time I went, just had something routine done. They ask a series of questions, and some of the questions regard income, because they want to see if like you'll qualify for any of their like free care that they offer, purportedly free care. So they asked me, I, at the time, was like in between some work. And so my income had dropped substantially. So I just gave them a ballpark estimate. They asked for my gross. So that is before taxes are paid. And I said $3,000 a month. So $3,000 a month over 12 months, that's $36,000 a year. That is gross. That is, before you're paying taxes. So really your take home pay is substantially less than that. Okay. So I told them that Based on that number, I did not qualify for any benefits that Planned Parenthood would have provided. So I don't know like who they're providing free healthcare for or subsidized healthcare services for. Because I think someone making, $36,000 or less in today's economy, they're probably struggling because these are the same people too who are going to call attention to the rising cost of living, housing, all that kind of stuff, right? And so the fact that like Planned Parenthood doesn't take any of they pay lip service to all of that and how vulnerable women are, but they don't take any of that into account, and they still charge full price for someone like me who didn't have insurance and was at a low income state at that point in time, income wise. Like that just tells you like who's actually benefiting from their services, right? Like who are they servicing? So whatever funding is being provided to female healthcare providers, it's not going to the patients. I can tell you that much. So I don't know why these people are freaking out over cut funding. Like Planned Parenthood is making enough. They're clearly doing just fine. And again, like I've said, I've gone and gotten healthcare stuff done. Like haven't lost any rights. So I don't know what they're freaking out about. So she says there's so many things that I could list, and so many of them hit mothers, especially poor mothers, and especially poor single mothers, unbelievably hard. Okay, so then list them. If there's so many things you can list, then list them. But again, the problem is these aren't poor mothers, and they're not poor single mothers, okay? They're women like this who are mothers by choice and single by choice, and they're benefiting off taxpayer dollars because they can. So I have very little sympathy for this kind of stuff. And of course, there are cases of women who are struggling and they're trying. Go watch Made on Netflix. I think it's a really great movie. It's based on a book, but a young woman who was dealing with domestic abuse in an unsafe home, was trying to take care of her daughter, and had to deal with all of the bullshit that goes on with trying to get assistance. And it shows how much she struggled. She couldn't get the care she needed for her daughter. She couldn't get access to a shelter. They ended up homeless, exploitation at work. Okay. Like those are the people who benefit most from these SNAP programs and welfare programs. And they're the ones who are thrown through the ringer and have to go through the gauntlet just to get the services. Okay. This woman right here, she has no problem. She has no problem getting the services she wants. But if you have any other woman who actually does need it, I guarantee you they're going to say they have all sorts of problems getting the services they need. So I don't know who this defending feminism woman thinks she's defending, because it's not the women who need it. She says, that said, the right wing is great at lip service and flattery. I'm sure it's easy to hear powerful right wing men talk about how they love having their wife stay home and care for the children. If lip service about the value of mothers staying at home and caring for children is what people want, right-wing movements have always had plenty to offer. But I'm baffled as to what beyond that the right wing offers women. Okay, can I just say, with regard to like the stay-at-home stuff, women have agency over their lives, right? It's not just about the men. Like men play a role, men play a very important role, but women have agency to make choices over their own lives too. I work from home, okay? There is a reason why I am at home. I left my career, okay? There is a reason why I left my career. I hated it. I hated working for other people. It made me physically ill. That environment did not work for me. So I have spent the last, 5 or so years now trying to build an alternative, flexible lifestyle for myself that allows me to work from home, to have flexibility, to be able to do things that need to be done. So, if my husband calls me and says, "Hey, I left this tool at home, can you bring it to me?" I can do that. And I've done it before, right? Like I have freedom and flexibility. I never have to worry about like scheduling doctor's appointments and like deconflicting schedules. Like I don't have to worry about that stuff because I'm always here. I'm always present. I'm not stressed about getting chores done because I've integrated that into my daily workflow. I have laundry in the dryer right now while I'm recording this, okay? Like I have made the effort as a woman, independent of what any man in my life has told me to do. I have made this decision to design a life for myself that gives me maximum flexibility so that eventually in the future, I can be a stay-at-home mom, I can raise children, but I can also contribute. I can capitalize on the things I'm good at. I'm apparently good at this. You all seem to comment, you enjoy these commentaries. So good at thinking through things, good at analyzing and positing different thoughts and ideas and theories and writing. Like I'm good at that. So I've been finding ways to be able to capitalize on that outside of the traditional 9 to 5, outside of the confines of working for an employer. So yeah, like, okay, men certainly play an important role in enabling their wives to stay home, but women could also do more to help themselves stay at home too if that's something that they really wanted. You know, it's not just about men. Like women have the capacity to do whatever they want, and because of the world we live in today, it's been there's never been an easier time to do it. Like anyone can set up an online shop, anyone can offer coaching services. People create like Etsy products all the time. You can run an Amazon FBA business out of your home. I know people who resell on eBay. I've been reselling on eBay for years. Like anyone can do that. I freelance. I create content. Doing your own writing, creating your own stuff. Like it's not easy in terms of you're not gonna like wake up tomorrow and replicate 100% of the benefits and income you generated from your W-2 job doing this kind of stuff. But it's not rocket science either. You just have to keep showing up and eventually it'll pay off, right? And women don't seem to understand that. So it's not lip service. The people on the right, conservatives, do value mothers staying at home and caring for the children. That's why a lot of the mothers have designed and built businesses for themselves to be able to work from home and work with their children and teach their children valuable skills. Okay? Like it's not like there's just like this fairy tale myth in these women's minds that stay at home moms and people who work from home, they're just like living in like luxury and just like, I don't know, watching soap operas all day. Like I don't even know what they think. But the reality is like there are a lot of people, a lot of conservatives, who the men are the primary breadwinners. Yes, they work outside the home. Yes, but the women are also contributing. They're raising the kids, they're homeschooling, they're running businesses, they're leveraging their own unique skills and talents. I mean, just go look at any food blogger. Okay, the vast majority of food bloggers are women. Look at how many of them sell recipe guides and courses and all sorts. They have affiliate products. Like there are people who are easily making 6 figures just by posting content about meal prep and recipes and like raising kids. So they're taking their knowledge as moms and they're distributing it in ways that they're able to monetize. Like it's incredible. And so yeah, like we should celebrate this. And yeah, like people on the left could stay home if they made better choices in their lives to enable that. But the fact that they don't make choices, or they think that they're captive to like the 9 to 5 and that's the only thing that they can do, or that government is this benevolent thing that like helps all of us, like that's on them. They're wrong to think that. So I'm baffled as to what they think that folks on the left offer women, because all I'm seeing is welfare subsidies. So they offer poor women who have chosen to become benefactors of state-funded taxpayer dollars, that they offer them perpetual welfare so they don't have to work, they don't have to do anything. That seems like a miserable life to me, in my opinion. Like why would you want to waste away like living like that? I don't know. That seems miserable to me. So they offer that, okay. They offer subsidies that adversely affect markets and pricing mechanisms, making everything expensive for the rest of us. They offer access to healthcare or health insurance, yes, but the health insurance that's offered is so poor and so low quality that no one can actually use it. So it's a complete waste of money. Okay. They offer abortions. So the right to murder your children because you didn't want to use a condom. Okay, that's cool. So they offer funding for female health care, but the funding isn't actually going to the patients. No one's really benefiting from this funding. So what are folks on the left offering? Oh, they're offering us migrants who have come in and they're now competing with us on housing and on jobs. They're killing people, intentionally or not. There's been all sorts of accidents, trucks, just drunk driving, all sorts of stuff that is talked about in the news, but folks on the left aren't paying attention. People's lives have been taken because of illegal migrants that they're protecting and think have a right to be here and have a right to like receive taxpayer funded benefits. free housing. They get, they're able to access the same housing market you and I are. So if you want to know why housing is tight in certain areas, look at who's buying the houses. It's kind of obvious. So yeah, like I would love to know from Defending Feminism, what exactly does the left have to offer? Because I was on the left and I thought it had all this good stuff to offer, but then once I started picking through it, I realized there's nothing really there. There's nothing really there to begin with. So this is just complete shenanigans. There's no argument here. There's absolutely no argument here. They have nothing to offer. So I appreciate you for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you have any ideas or pushback on this Defending Feminism publication, would love to hear your thoughts. Otherwise, thanks again, and definitely like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.